I'm honored to be back for season 2 of Kev Mac videos. It's such a great honor to have placed so high on this top 10. So high that I have to let you all know I was number 2. And that was a great honor for me. And probably just like any and everybody else who did the interviews, we probably was all glued to the television, seeing if our names was going to be called. And when he got down to number 3, I said I didn't make it. I won't call Cal and curse him out personally. But when he said Sir Jim the Bishop, man, I tell you what a joy that was. That is such an honor with so many, the Barefoot Pookies, the Nuggets and Big Miz and all these guys out there. And for me to be placed so high over these guys, I could say it's a great honor.
In Bishops, was there ever a time where anybody opposed you or Bobby in the infancy stages of the Bishops?
Bobby would always be opposed by, I would say, a general of Bishop, Daniel Spiller, better known as Space Ghost.
The infamous Space Ghost. The Kitchens talked about him. Cute's, that's Cute's cousin. You mentioned him. I believe somebody else had mentioned him as well. What can you tell us about Space Ghost?
Space Ghost actually first lived across from the Imperial Court Projects on a little street called Watts Avenue. He came to 92nd Street School in the 5th grade, and this dude was so playful. The very first day in school, when he got there, he'd sit right behind me. He tapped me on my left shoulder. I look around, he's at my right side. He just playing and playing and playing, and after class, he's following me around all that day, and I'm like, this dude is weird, you know? But he's been following me ever since, and Space Ghost got his name. There was a cartoon character called Space Ghost, and he would just dive and fly. And Space Ghost! When we go swimming at Roosevelt River Park, or Rogers Park, which is now Ted Watkins, Ghost would get on a high diving board, and he would imitate this guy and scream out Space Ghost, and that is how he got his name. Also, the Space Ghost was by far the most hated of all the bishops, and it was because of him being so playful.
Where did Space Ghost live at, opposed to where you lived at?
He lived on Bandera. He lived between 92nd and 95th, just a few blocks over and a half a block down the street.
Did he run with you or Bobby?
He ran with me.
Okay. Is there any type of distinction between you and your crew versus your brother and his crew?
My crew was a very active crew. Very, very active. And Bobby hung around with a lot of basketball players, and you got to understand Bobby was like an A student and stuff like that, so he hung around with those type of guys in the neighborhood, and I hung around with the Wild Bunch.
And so was there like, did you guys claim 9 dudes bishops yet, or did that not come into play when you were active?
Oh yeah, we claimed 9 dudes. It was first called 92, and our 90 deuce, 90 deuce, versus 92, and Space Ghost was definitely part of 92, and Bobby, of course, was just the leader of the entire Bishop gang.
Space Ghost is known for the gunplay, and not to glamorize it or glorify it, but what made him pick up a gun and be so vicious?
I think when you have a lot of people attacking you and shooting at you, you shoot back. He's a very light complexion brother, easy target, and they came at him, and he went back at them. You know, Space Ghost was also a fighter. He was a very active, very aggressive bishop.
It was said by the Kitchens that he gave hell to all the rivals surrounding the bishops. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
So he didn't just have like one neighborhood he was into it with. He was into it with all sorts of neighborhoods.
Space Ghost had a target on his back by the entire Crip gang on the east side. Watts, Florence Firestone, Space Ghost was the most hated of all the bishops.
There was an incident he had in Watts concerning Tyrone Tate and his crew. Is there anything you could mention about that?
I heard that interview with Tyrone Tate. What I made different with Tyrone about what really happened with Tyrone and Claudia Clay and Space Ghost. That's not the way I remember it. But there was an incident. I can't too much speak on it. Well, people did their time for it and all that, and Space Ghost was involved with that, and I think he got 5 years of shooting in the city limits. When another brother caught him manslaughter. So
Was that a gang rivalry or just an incident that happened?
that was game. Well, you know what? It wasn't even. I wouldn't even call it a gang rivalry at that time. It came as an unsuspected thing of somebody who just turned to be part of this gang, and bishops didn't know it, and they tried to take out some bishops, and it led into something really ugly, and unfortunately, somebody not surviving it, and a couple other guys being shot.
So is that like when he really got the target on his back, or was he already a target?
Space was been a target on his back ever since junior high school. Raymond Washington and Robert Munson caught him inside of the gym at Drew when they jumped on him. They got off campus before we can get there to where they were to assist Space Ghost. But that brother had a target on his back, man, ever since junior high school.
Was it because he was light skinned, or was he just an outcast?
Space Ghost was playful. Let me tell you some stuff that Space Ghost would do. We're walking to school one day. Space Ghost either stole his mother Vaseline or wherever he got it from, we don't know. He takes his finger, gets a big old gob of Vaseline out, and he puts it right over his nose. And these two girls are walking in front of us, and he taps this girl on the shoulder. She looks around, and he wipes it on her shoulder. You know, it looks like snot. And she goes to hollering and screaming, and she runs, and she ends up leaving the campus. And after school that day, we walking, and the car pulls up on the side of us. They jump out with bumper jacks and stuff. We gotta run. It's kind of stuff Space Ghost did to get us involved with a lot of stuff, because the first thing the girls do is go home and say it was Space Ghost and them and us.
How did you run again, Jim?
How did I run?
Yeah.
Man.
Your motion.
Yeah. No, I was the slowest sprinter of the group. Again, I ran long distance. But the 100-yard dash, I'm in the back of the pack, but I'm in the pack. So I had to run a whole bunch of times messing around with Space Ghost.
But you guys was good friends, and you grew up together. You go to elementary school together.
We very good friends. Sometimes I would spend the night. Matter of fact, I think one time I spent the night over his house. He spent a few nights over our house, and that night with him and his brother Big Ed, there ain't no sleeping when you with Space Ghost's house, because these guys gonna be playing with your toes while you sleeping the whole 9 yards, man. So we were really, really good friends. Space Ghost was on my team opposed to my brother Bobby.
Did Space Ghost know Bad News from my area?
Oh yeah, they were friends as well.
Did Space Ghost have a hand in the West Side Bishops?
No, he didn't. Space Ghost was a general, but because he played so much, nobody took him so serious for his leadership. So no, he didn't make any decisions. As a matter of fact, that was one big fall that him and Bobby used to have. Space Ghost wanted to do certain things, and Bobby was shooting down every time.